The quantum receiver aboard the research vessel Horizon chirped to life at 300 hours Earth Standard Time. Commander Sarah Chen had been dozing in her quarters when the alert penetrated her fitful sleep. She was on her feet before consciousness fully returned, muscle memory from 15 years of deep space research taking over. "Status report," she demanded, entering the detection lab while still securing her uniform jacket. The room's holographic displays cast an ethereal blue glow across the faces of her crew. Dr. Marcus Wong, the ship's lead quantum physicist, didn't look up from his console. His fingers danced across the haptic interface, eyes tracking data streams that would have appeared as meaningless static to most observers. "It's like nothing we've ever seen, Commander. The signal's using quantum entanglement principles we theorized, but never thought possible in practice." Sarah moved to stand behind him, watching the cascade of information flow across the screens. The Horizon had been stationed at the edge of explored space for 6 months, listening for signs of intelligent life. They'd picked up plenty of natural phenomena, but this was different. The signal had structure, purpose, origin point. "That's the thing," Marcus replied, finally looking up. The dark circles under his eyes suggested he'd been awake long before the alert. "It's coming from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Whoever sent this figured out how to create a quantum broadcast network. The signal exists in a superposition across multiple points in space." Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's xenobiologist, spoke up from her station. "Commander, you need to see this. The signal isn't just carrying conventional data. It contains genetic information, complete biological blueprints encoded in quantum states." Sarah felt her pulse quicken. In 15 years of deep space research, she'd never encountered anything like this. "Can you decode it?" "Working on it now," Yuki answered, her augmented reality interface projecting complex molecular structures into the air before her. "But there's something else. The genetic patterns are degrading. Whatever this is, it's designed to fall apart if it's not properly received and preserved within a specific time frame." The implications hit Sarah like a physical force. This wasn't just a message, it was a desperate attempt at preservation. Someone out there was trying to save something, perhaps themselves, from extinction. "How long do we have?" Based on the degradation rate, Yuki performed a quick calculation. 72 hours before the genetic data becomes unreadable. Sarah straightened, her decision already made. "Contact Earth Command. Priority 1 channel. Tell them we need every quantum-capable research vessel in range. We're not letting this message die." The next 48 hours aboard the Horizon passed in a blur of activity. Additional research ships arrived, their combined quantum computing power working to stabilize and decode the signal. Sarah watched as the message gradually took shape, revealing itself piece by piece. They were called the Archivists, a species that had achieved technological advancement far beyond humanity's current capabilities. But their message wasn't a greeting or a warning. It was a plea for help, encrypted in the very building blocks of life itself. "They're running from something," Marcus explained during one of their briefings. "The quantum broadcast contains specifications for their biology, their technology, their entire civilization. It's not just information. It's an insurance policy against extinction." Sarah studied the holographic representation of the Archivist's genetic structure floating above the conference table. They were beautiful in an alien way, crystalline beings whose bodies naturally manipulated light and energy. But according to the data, they were also incredibly fragile by human standards. What could threaten a species capable of quantum broadcasting their entire genetic legacy across space? She wondered aloud. The answer came in the form of additional decoded data packets. The Archivist's enemies were biomechanical horrors, evolving machines that consumed civilizations and repurposed their technology for their own expansion. The Archivists had fought them for centuries, but their sophisticated technology proved to be their weakness. The more advanced their defenses became, the more powerful their enemies grew by absorbing and corrupting that same technology. "Commander," Yuki called out, her voice tight with excitement. We've finished analyzing their environmental requirements. You're not going to believe this. Sarah moved to her station, reading the displayed data with growing amazement. The archivists needed conditions that would be considered paradise by human standards: low gravity, minimal radiation, stable temperatures. But what they considered lethal environmental hazards were conditions humans had evolved to thrive in. Earth would be a death world to them, she murmured, understanding dawning. The gravity alone would crush their crystalline structures. The background radiation would disrupt their energy patterns. Exactly, Yuki confirmed. But those same conditions would be devastating to their pursuers. The biomechanical entities can't function effectively in high-gravity environments with significant radiation exposure. They'd literally tear themselves apart trying to operate on Earth. Sarah felt a smile spread across her face as the pieces fell into place. The archivists hadn't just sent out a random plea for help. Their quantum calculations must have identified Earth as the perfect sanctuary, a world whose very harshness made it the ideal protection against their enemies. "Get me Earth Command again," she ordered, straightening her uniform. "Tell them we need more than research vessels now. We need the fleet. We're about to welcome some refugees to our deadly little corner of the galaxy." As the crew scrambled to relay her orders, Sarah stared out at the star-filled void beyond the horizon's viewport. Somewhere out there, a civilization of crystal beings was running for their lives, carrying the last hope of their species. They were about to discover that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons, but the very world that had forged them into something unique in the galaxy. "Hold on," she whispered to the distant archivists. "The children of Earth are coming, and we're bringing sanctuary." The emergency conference room at Earth Command buzzed with tension as holographic displays showed the extent of the archivist civilization. Admiral Helena Rodriguez stood before the assembled military and scientific leadership, her weathered face illuminated by the quantum data streams still pouring in from the horizon. "What we're looking at," she began, gesturing to the crystalline structures floating in the display, "is a civilization that achieved quantum manipulation while humanity was still learning to make fire. But all their advancement couldn't save them from what's coming." The display shifted, showing biomechanical monstrosities that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Their surfaces rippled with stolen technology, each component assimilated from conquered worlds. Sarah Chen, watching from her quantum link aboard the horizon, felt her stomach turn at the sight. "The archivists called them the Harvesters," Admiral Rodriguez continued. "They don't just destroy civilizations. They consume them, integrate their technology, and use it to evolve. The more advanced the civilization, the more dangerous they become after assimilating it." Dr. Wang's voice cut in through the quantum link. "That's why the archivists chose us. Their calculations showed that humanity's primitive conditions might be their salvation. Our harsh environment, our biological adaptations, they're a weapon the harvesters can't steal." The room erupted in discussion, voices overlapping as military strategists and scientists debated the implications. Sarah watched as Admiral Rodriguez raised her hand for silence, her expression grave. "We've faced extinction before," the Admiral said quietly, and everyone knew she was referring to the climate wars of the previous century. When the oceans rose and the weather patterns shifted, humanity didn't just survive. We adapted. We built floating cities, developed radiation-resistant crops, modified our own biology to withstand the new normal. We turned Earth's harshness into our strength. The display shifted again, showing the projected path of the archivist refugee fleet. They were moving at speeds that defied conventional physics, but the harvesters were still gaining ground. "How many survivors?" someone asked. "The quantum data indicates approximately 1 million archivists spread across 300 ships," Sarah responded through the link. "But their vessels weren't designed for long-term survival. They're burning through their energy reserves trying to stay ahead of the harvesters." Admiral Rodriguez's expression hardened with determination. "Then we better not keep them waiting. Commander Chen, you've had the most experience with their quantum communications. I'm promoting you to Task Force Commander." The rescue fleet will gather at your coordinates. The next 12 hours transformed the space around the horizon into an unprecedented display of human mobilization. Ships arrived in waves. Heavy cruisers designed to operate in the crushing gravity wells of gas giants, research vessels bristling with quantum sensors, and massive refugee transports modified to sustain alien life. Sarah stood on the horizon's observation deck, watching the fleet assemble. Each vessel represented humanity's hard-won adaptation to the harshest conditions space could offer. Their hulls were reinforced to withstand radiation that would fry most alien electronics. Their gravity systems could maintain Earth-normal conditions that would pulverize less robust species. "The first wave of ships is ready," Marcus reported, joining her at the viewport. "We've modified their quantum receivers based on the archivist data. As soon as we make contact, we can begin the transfer of their genetic archives." Sarah nodded, her mind already racing through contingency plans. "And the sanctuary sites?" "Underground facilities in the Marianas Trench," Marcus replied. "The depth provides natural radiation shielding, and we can maintain the low-gravity environment they need. The harvesters would tear themselves apart trying to reach those depths under that much pressure." An alert chimed through the ship, and Yuki's voice came over the comm. "Commander, we're detecting quantum fluctuations at the edge of our sensor range. The archivist fleet is about to drop out of their FTL state." Sarah straightened, feeling the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. Humanity was about to make its first physical contact with an alien civilization, not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians. "All ships, battle stations," she ordered, her voice carrying across the quantum network to the assembled fleet. "The archivists chose Earth because we're the children of a death world. Time to show them they chose wisely." The space ahead of the fleet began to shimmer as reality itself seemed to bend. The archivist ships emerged like dreams taking physical form, massive crystalline structures that caught and reflected starlight in impossible ways. They were beautiful, delicate, and clearly dying. Behind them, at the very edge of sensor range, darker shapes began to appear. The harvesters had followed their prey across the gulf between stars, hungry for new technology to consume. They were about to discover that some worlds gave birth to children with teeth. "All ships, defensive formation," Sarah commanded. "Prepare to receive refugees." The archivists came looking for sanctuary in the deadliest corner of space they could find. She allowed herself a grim smile. "Let's show them just how deadly we can be." The first archivist ship to make contact with the human fleet was barely holding together. Its crystalline surface was webbed with fractures, its once pristine form dulled by the strain of prolonged flight. Sarah watched from the horizon's bridge as the massive vessel limped toward them, trailing fragments of light like dying stars. "Opening quantum communication channel," Marcus announced, his fingers dancing across his console. The bridge speakers came alive with a symphony of light translated into sound, the natural language of the archivists. "This is Guardian of Memory speaking for the archivist fleet." A melodious voice emerged from the translation matrix. We did not truly believe anyone would answer our call, especially not from such a hostile region of space." Sarah leaned forward in her command chair. "This is Commander Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received your quantum archive. We know what's pursuing you, and we have a plan to help. But first, we need to get your people to safety." There was a pause, filled only by the crystalline harmonics of archivist communication. "Your vessels," Guardian of Memory finally responded, "they operate at gravimetric pressures that would shatter our bodies. How can you even function in such conditions?" "Because it's what we were born for," Sarah replied, allowing herself a small smile. "The very conditions that would destroy you are what make Earth perfect for hiding you. The harvesters can't operate effectively in our gravity either. They'll tear themselves apart trying to reach you." The discussion was interrupted by urgent alerts from the fleet's outer sensor ring. "Commander," Yuki called out, "harvester vessels entering detection range. Their energy signatures are... they're massive." The tactical display filled with approaching shadows. biomechanical horrors larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their surfaces writhed with stolen technology, each ship a testament to countless civilizations consumed and corrupted. By the first light, Guardian of Memory's voice shook. They'd grown stronger since our last encounter. They've been consuming every advanced civilization in their path, adding their technology to their own. Sarah's response was cut off by a new alert. One of the harvester vessels had launched what appeared to be a biological missile. It streaked across space, its surface morphing and adapting as it approached. All ships, evasive action. Sarah commanded, but the missile wasn't aimed at the human fleet. It struck one of the damaged archivist vessels, and the horror began. The crystalline ship's surface began to darken as biomechanical corruption spread across it like a cancer. The archivists' quantum-based technology was being turned against them, their own advanced systems providing fuel for their enemies' evolution. Guardian of Memory, Sarah's voice cut through the panic. We need to move now. Vector your fleet toward these coordinates. Our ships will run interference. Commander, Marcus interrupted. The harvester vessels are accelerating. They'll overtake the archivist ships before they can reach the sanctuary zone. Sarah's mind raced through options, then settled on a plan that made her gut clench. All ships prepare for maximum gravitational engagement. Divert power from weapons to gravity generators. The crew exchanged glances, understanding dawning on their faces. What they were about to attempt was either brilliant or suicidal. Archivists, continue on your course, Sarah ordered. What you're about to see might seem impossible. Just remember, this is what Earth made us for. The human fleet moved into position, their formation spreading out between the fleeing archivists and the pursuing harvesters. At Sarah's command, every ship's gravity generators engaged at full power, creating a cascading wave of Earth-normal gravity in space. The effect on the harvester vessels was immediate and catastrophic. Their biomechanical components, designed for the gentler physics of deep space, began to buckle under forces they were never meant to withstand. Stolen technology crumpled, adaptive systems failed, and massive ships began to tear themselves apart. Impossible, Guardian of Memory whispered through the quantum link. You're using your environmental adaptation as a weapon. The universe made us strong, Sarah replied, watching as the harvester fleet faltered in the gravity well. Now we're using that strength to protect others. All ships maintain gravity field and begin escort formation. Let's get these people to their new home. The human fleet surrounded the archivist vessels, their gravity generators creating a corridor of lethal force that no harvester ship could penetrate. As they began the journey toward Earth, Sarah received a private transmission from Guardian of Memory. We thought we were doomed when we discovered our signal had reached a death world, the archivist admitted. Instead, we found guardians who turned death itself into a shield. The universe has a strange sense of poetry. Sarah watched as the combined fleet moved toward sanctuary, Earth's harsh embrace waiting to shelter those who had once feared it. Sometimes, she replied, the most dangerous places turn out to be the safest. Welcome to humanity's corner of the galaxy, Guardian. It may be deadly, but it's home. The Mariana Sanctuary buzzed with activity 30 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean. Sarah stood in the observation dome, watching as crystalline archivist structures rose from the seafloor like luminous coral. The immense pressure of the deep ocean, lethal to most species, served as the perfect shield against their pursuers. The depth is perfect, Guardian of Memory observed, their crystalline form floating in a specially designed low-gravity chamber. The water pressure maintains structural integrity, while the Earth's magnetic field disrupts any quantum tracking. We'd never imagined finding sanctuary in such an extreme environment. Humanity's greatest achievements came from learning to thrive in places that should have killed us, Sarah replied, watching as another transport arrived through the underwater gravity corridor. These depths were unreachable until we modified ourselves to withstand the pressure. The sanctuary had been under construction for weeks, ever since the first quantum signal was decoded. What had once been a research station was now transforming into an underwater city. Human engineering merged with archivist crystal technology, creating spaces where both species could coexist. "Commander," Dr. Tanaka's voice came through the comm. "You need to see this. We've made a breakthrough in the genetics lab." Sarah found Yuki in the research complex, surrounded by holographic displays showing merged human and archivist DNA sequences. The excitement on the scientist's face was evident even through her pressure suit's faceplate. "We've been studying how our bodies adapt to radiation and pressure," Yuki explained, manipulating the genetic models. "The archivist's crystalline structure can actually be modified using principles from our own cellular repair mechanisms. We might be able to help them adapt to survive in higher gravity environments." "Is it safe?" Sarah asked, studying the complex genetic patterns. "Guardian of Knowledge has been working with us," Yuki replied, gesturing to an archivist scientist whose crystal form pulsed with scholarly patterns. "Their quantum computing capabilities combined with our biological resilience. It's revolutionary." The implications were staggering. Not only could humanity offer the archivist sanctuary, but they might be able to give them the tools to defend themselves. Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared through the complex. Multiple harvester signatures detected in high orbit. Marcus's voice cut through the comm. "They're attempting to breach the gravity corridor." Sarah rushed to the command center, where tactical displays showed the situation unfolding above. The harvester fleet had regrouped, their ships now modified with crude gravity compensation systems. They were learning, adapting, but at a cost. Their vessels looked unstable, barely holding together under the strain. "Status of the evacuation," she demanded. 80% of the archivist fleet has been safely docked," her tactical officer reported. "The remaining ships are proceeding through the gravity corridor now." Guardian of Memory's voice joined the conversation through the quantum link. "Commander, we're detecting unusual energy patterns from the harvester fleet. They're attempting to replicate your gravity technology, but without the biological adaptations to support it." Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. "Then let's give them a lesson in environmental adaptation. All surface ships, execute Protocol Deep Dive." The human fleet protecting the gravity corridor began to descend, drawing the harvesters down toward the ocean. The biomechanical ships followed, their stolen gravity systems straining to compensate for the increasing pressure. "They're pursuing," Marcus reported. "Depth now passing 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers." The ocean itself became a weapon. As the harvester ships dove deeper, their hybrid technology began to fail. Gravity compensation systems couldn't handle the combined forces of Earth's natural gravity and crushing water pressure. Ship after ship imploded, their biological components unable to evolve quickly enough to survive. "Remarkable," Guardian of Knowledge observed through the quantum link. "Your world's natural defenses are more effective than any weapon we could have designed." In the sanctuary below, Sarah watched as the last archivist transport docked safely. The underwater city pulsed with combined human and crystal technology, a testament to what could be achieved when advanced science met raw survival instinct. "This is just the beginning," she told the assembled archivists. "Your quantum computing and crystal technology, combined with our biological adaptations, we can learn from each other, build something new. We feared your death world," Guardian of Memory admitted, their crystal form reflecting the deep ocean light. "Now we understand that the harshest crucible can forge the strongest alliances." As the remaining harvester ships retreated from Earth's orbit, their forces broken by the simple physics of a heavy world, Sarah reflected on the irony. Humanity had spent centuries viewing their harsh planet as a challenge to overcome. Now those same conditions had become their greatest asset, not just for survival, but for protecting others. "Welcome to Earth," she said to the assembled archivists. "It may be a death world to some, but to us, it's the cradle of life itself. And now, it's your sanctuary too." 1 year after the establishment of the Mariana Sanctuary, Sarah stood before the United Earth Council, her dress uniform adorned with the newly created Sanctuary Service insignia. The chamber's holographic displays showed real-time feeds from the underwater city, where crystalline spires now rose alongside human structures in perfect harmony. "The harvester threat isn't over," she reported to the assembled leaders, "but we've changed the nature of the game. They evolved to consume advanced technology, to corrupt sophisticated defenses. They never evolved to face a species that turned environmental extremes into shields." The central display showed the latest scans of Earth's defensive network. Gravity corridors now connected underwater sanctuaries across every major ocean, each one housing refugees from civilizations the harvesters had targeted. Earth had become a fortress world, not through advanced weapons, but through the very conditions that had shaped humanity. The archivists' quantum computing capabilities have revolutionized our understanding of genetics, Dr. Tanaka added from her position beside Sarah. "We've successfully developed adaptations that allow their crystalline forms to withstand up to 40% of Earth's gravity. In return, they'd helped us enhance our natural radiation resistance." The chamber erupted in excited discussion. The partnership between humans and archivists had produced advances that neither species could have achieved alone. Earth's harsh conditions, once seen as a barrier to interstellar relations, had become the foundation of a new kind of diplomatic power. "Guardian of Memory has requested to address the Council," Sarah announced, and the chamber fell silent as the quantum communication system activated. The archivist leader's crystalline form appeared in the center of the chamber, their light patterns reflecting off the walls in a display of formal ceremony. "1 year ago, we sent our desperate message into the void, hoping to preserve our species from extinction. We found not just saviors, but teachers." The holographic displays shifted, showing scenes from the sanctuary cities. Humans in pressure suits worked alongside archivists, their different technologies and adaptations complementing each other. Young archivists, born in the sanctuary, displayed new crystalline patterns that could withstand pressures their parents never could. The harvesters believed that consuming advanced technology was the path to evolutionary perfection. Guardian of Memory continued. "But humanity showed us a different truth. True strength comes not from stealing advancement, but from earning it through adaptation and cooperation." Sarah stepped forward as new alerts appeared on the tactical displays. "Speaking of our unwanted guests, we're detecting harvester ships approaching the outer system defense line." But there was no alarm in her voice, no rush to battle stations. The Council watched as the biomechanical vessels encountered the first layer of Earth's new defenses, graduated gravity fields that increased in intensity the closer they came to the planet. "They still haven't figured out how to compensate," Sarah explained, allowing herself a small smile. "Every time they adapt to one level of gravity, they encounter a stronger one. Their stolen technology tears itself apart trying to keep up." The displays showed the harvester ships retreating, their biological components straining under forces they couldn't hope to overcome. Earth's gravity had become an impenetrable barrier, protecting not just humanity, but all those who sought sanctuary. "We've received 67 new quantum signals in the past month alone," Sarah reported to the Council. "Word is spreading through the galaxy. Earth isn't just a death world anymore. It's a fortress for those who need protection. The harvesters are finding their potential targets disappearing, finding sanctuary in the one place they can't follow." Guardian of Memory's light patterns shifted in what the quantum translators identified as deep emotion. "When we first detected your world, we saw only danger. The gravity, the radiation, the pressure, everything about Earth seemed designed to destroy life. Now we understand. You are not Deathworlders. You are life's guardians, forged in the harshest conditions to protect those who cannot protect themselves." The Council chamber's displays showed a final image, a new class of ship under construction in orbital shipyards. Its design merged human durability with archivist crystal technology, created to venture out into the galaxy and offer sanctuary to others fleeing the harvesters. "The galaxy is changing," Sarah concluded. The harvesters believed that consuming advanced technology made them evolutionarily superior. Instead, they created the perfect conditions for a different kind of evolution. the partnership between their most sophisticated targets and the Deathworlders strong enough to protect them. As the council session ended, Sarah stood at the chamber's viewport, watching the sun set over the Pacific. Somewhere deep below, in the crushing depths that had shaped humanity's strength, a new civilization was blooming. One that turned harsh conditions into shields, extreme environments into sanctuaries. Earth was no longer just humanity's cradle. It had become a beacon in the darkness, a promise to the galaxy's endangered species. In their effort to consume all advanced life, the Harvesters had instead united it, driving sophisticated civilizations into the arms of the very Deathworlders they once feared. The future would bring new challenges, new threats. But humanity was ready, standing guard over their harsh but protective world. They had found their place in the galaxy not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians, the children of a death world turned protectors of life itself.